Okay, I think we may possibly be live.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Amos Gaynes. This is Geert, Bevin. We're a couple of the engineers and product developers of the Moog One, and we're here to walk through the instrument some more, show off some features, hang out, answer questions, and generally have a good time. Right now we are loading the latest firmware onto this hardware live on the air. So in another few moments, it'll be finished loading the firmware and we can reboot the instrument. And while it's going through the final firmware update stages, we have a few questions that came in on the chat lines that we can answer. One question is, how am I feeling? I was out yesterday. Feeling much better, thank you. Got some good rest. I'm back and ready to do it again. And let's see, there are some demo questions, several of which have to do with panning. One person asked if it's possible to pan individual voices in an Oberheim-like manner, which I'm interpreting to mean a fixed pan position per voice that stays with that voice. And the answer is right now panning is dynamic, so it doesn't stay with the specific voice. But certainly the hardware, the hardware would support such a mode, should we choose to develop that in the future. The platform that we have to work with here is something that is very extensible, very rich and nuanced, and so we're always interested in this kind of feedback and user requests. That's part of how this instrument was developed in the first place, is by gathering people's wants and desires for what the instrument could do. And so we built in a great deal of extensibility to continue to be able to receive that feedback and use it to shape ongoing development. So keep those sorts of requests coming, and more than likely we have the ability and just need to find the time to make these good new things happen. Mm-hmm. Okay, still updating, so I'll go to another question. Can multiple Moog Ones be networked together via Ethernet? And that's another, right out of the box, there's not a facility to do that, but certainly the Ethernet hardware supports a lot of creative possibilities, of which that is plausibly one. So that's another thing that we can evaluate. And we're back, firmware update successful. So we're now running the latest firmware.
There we are.
Yep, version 1.0.0, excellent. Okay, so there are a couple of requests to demonstrate panning, so that's something that we can go through. I'm assuming that this feed is in stereo, I certainly hope so. So let's start with a basic init preset. I'll turn the cutoff down a little bit. So there is a single sawtooth wave, essentially panned right down the center. For each part, you have a fixed VCA panning control that will move the entire part left or right in the stereo field. So that option exists. But for panning individual voices, the main way that's accomplished right now in the Moog One is by using the pan position as a mod destination. And you can attach all kinds of different sources to panning modulation. You can use an LFO, you can use the key number, that's a fun one. So if you choose in the expression assigned section, the KB button is for keyboard, which means basically the note number as the mod source. And if you assign that to the panning destination, then you should have a situation where low notes are panned to one side and high notes are panned to the other side. And so certainly that's a way to easily pan large chords across the stereo field. Another fun thing you can do is to apply LFOs. And the LFOs on the Moog One, by default, if you don't do anything to disturb the relationship of each instance of LFO1 across all the voices, then they behave as one LFO. So to assign LFO1 to panning, I press the LFO1 destination button, grab the pan knob, and that sets LFO1 source to VCA pan as the destination. And so right now, all of the instances of LFO1 are working together. So all of those voices are panning together across the stereo field. But there are a number of ways that you can get independence of the per voice LFOs. like, for example, by telling them to restart on note on. So if I do that, then the phase of the LFO is going to restart with each note on, which means that if I play notes at different times from each other, then they're going to start panning at different times, and they'll all pan independently from each other. So you can immediately start to hear that there's a lot more motion. And I'm going to go ahead and bring in a second LFO and detune it slightly just so that we get a bigger sound. That's a little bit too detuned. Oh, okay, I grabbed the wrong knob. One of the nice things about restarting an LFO on note on is that if you play the notes in a certain rhythm, you can then start to hear that rhythm happening in the modulation. You get this nice sort of arpeggiated effect of the modulations all happening with a nice rhythmic relationship to each other. And let's see, another thing you can do, for example, is you can, you can use the XY pad as well, although that's another one that's going to move everything at the same time. I was just going to demonstrate a way of getting some more independence of the LFOs, which is taking the note number and applying that to the actual rate of the LFO just a little bit. So each LFO is going to be going at just a slightly different rate. So that's with just a couple of modulations, a way of starting to get a really big, spacious sound that's moving around the stereo field. Okay, we've got more questions coming in. How many notes of polyphony per step in the sequencer? Right, as far as I know, you can stack as many voices on a step as you have hardware voices to play. So you could have an 8 or a 16 note chord on a single step, to the best of my knowledge. Here it's adding sequencer lanes, and
yeah, I think it's 99.
Okay.
Theoretically.
Excuse me.
So we'll play all those notes as the voices allow.
Right. So you can stack more notes than the hardware could ever conceivably play on a step, and it will play as many of them as your voice allocation will allow. And we haven't actually done a whole lot of in-depth demonstration of the sequencer. That's a thing we could possibly do if there's some interest there. Let's see, can you pan with the XY pad? Yes, with multiple delay times to cascade the effect. Sure, shall we set that up?
Sure.
Okay. All right, well, let's go pad X. I'll say pad X with positive pan modulation, pad Y with a negative pan modulation. That should do interesting things. Let's see if both of those are in the mod matrix. Nope, actually I replaced it. Okay, so pad X. Had to hit done in between them. Okay, so now I have two nice, there we are. We're panning using the XY pad. And let's see, we wanted multiple delays. Let's see, let's put a stereo delay on the synth effect.
Panning.
Okay, all right. All right, I'm not playing enough notes. Okay, so I'm going to try, let's see, another delay on the master bus. Let's see what we have here. Maybe a little less modulation there. coming from here? I think maybe it is.
Okay. Feeling very powerful.
Oh yeah, that's right. Total control over the stereo field.
Yeah. With a single finger. Making an X on the XY pad.
Okay, so I think that was the panning from the XY pad through some delays.
Yeah.
I
Awesome.
hope that was what was desired. What is the slowest time that a sequencer can run? I would say something like 4 whole notes at 10 BPM or 20 BPM. Let's see. Yeah,
Oh,
four whole notes at the slowest BPM.
10.
Yeah. So 4 whole notes at 10 BPM
Yeah.
per step if you're that patient. And does
Wasn't
Moog-
like someone that wanted to let it run for days?
I think
right?
so, or they wanted LFOs that
Yeah.
cycled for days,
Yes.
something like that. We tried to make sure that this could go extremely slow and extremely
Really
fast,
fast.
both on the sequencer and the modulators.
Yeah, the extremely fast was sometimes tricky to pull off, but I think we got it. Like combining it with all the live updates on the screen here, when you see things like the notes move along while
Right.
the sequencer is cranking all those LEDs out.
Yeah, it can do a lot.
Let's
so.
see. I don't know if you see that, but it's almost like blindingly fast.
Oh, hey, Black
Oh,
MIDI.
Yay, Guitar Hero.
Yep. Okay, let's.
Oh. You see them here too. So you have 2 views over the notes. So while it's running at those speeds, you're still freely able to move around and edit everything. this is only 1/16 at 10 BPM, so this is already super slow.
That's right. Just slow down LFO2 a little bit. So yes, can sequence very quickly, can sequence very slowly. Does the Moog One send MIDI out of the sequencer? I believe that it does.
Yeah, it does.
Last time I checked, it
Yeah,
does.
it does.
And also with transpose,
Yeah.
yes. So you can create a MIDI sequence and use that to control a piece of external gear, and that can be triggered from the keyboard. It can be transposed on the fly
Yeah.
from the keyboard, and all of that's reflected in the MIDI notes that come out.
Looks like we went through the questions.
We did.
Yeah, awesome.
Did you want to talk about the UI development, UI and UX
Yeah,
development
maybe
a
we
little
could
bit?
do that. So yeah, one of the focuses of our work on the UI, UX, and the interactions with the Moog One was that we wanted to be able to make it evolve over time. That we could make it do new things, that we could adapt to new discoveries that we make. So we set up a whole development process for that, right? We started a long time ago. I remember, was it like several years? Years. We were sitting like somewhere in London, like going through it all. Was it the ADC or something?
That's right,
Yeah.
yes. 3-ish ADCs ago, yeah.
It was pretty fun. And so we've come up with an architecture that allows basically quite a few developers to work together on it, and everything is following what is considered the best practices for automated testing. We are using version control and
Lots and lots of unit tests.
Lots and lots of unit. Last count was 17,000.
Yeah.
Which takes quite a while when you make a change and you run through all of them. But we've got continuous integration, which is a system that allows to test everything automatically once we make a change. And that is all run automatically every time someone changes something. So it's pretty exciting. Like, we're super confident when we make changes that we test all the things that have been working.
Yeah, yeah. We can. Our team is. You know, sometimes we're all here in Asheville. Sometimes we're distributed around the world, and wherever we are, we know that if we check in a change to the code, it's all going to be tested and verified. It's going to be built into you know, an artifact that we can then load on hardware. It's actually automatically loaded onto hardware and tested. So all the development that we do is it's very agile. It's very extensible and versatile, and we can have a high degree of confidence that what we're going to do is what we're doing is going to work well together, you know, with everyone else's work.
Yeah.
It's a really fun system in which to develop, and it allows for us to implement changes very quickly. We can talk in the morning about an idea that we want to prototype, and you know, we can test it almost immediately and run it on the hardware and see if our assumptions were correct and tweak and make changes. And it's made the whole development process
totally.
just really streamlined and
And
fun.
we can actually, if it's functionality that is tied to the UI and the UX that is present on the LCD, we can actually run that on a desktop computer, which is how most of the developers make changes, test it out, and then we put it on the hardware and hope it works. And usually it does. Sometimes it doesn't, but then the tests, you know,
They tell us, yeah.
Catch it. Cool. I think we've got a couple of more questions here. Can you detune per voice via LFO and envelopes?
Absolutely.
I think you can.
Yeah, so one thing that people have asked about is like, okay, so great, you've got this incredible tuning stability, you can do micro-tuning, blah, 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 that's really cool, but actually I want something that's drifty and sounds antique and so on. And yes, there are a lot of ways you can do that. The trick that I was showing before with using LFOs that were triggered per voice to control panning, one thing that I might do is I'll set up a very gentle sample and hold, and I'll apply a lot of smoothing to it. And if you apply that at a very small amount, for example, to the oscillator frequency or beat frequency detuning, let's just say, oops, oh wait, I have to set a destination first. let's say just like not quite 2%, or you can make it exactly 2% if you want, or one, however you like. Okay, great. So there's a 2% detuning, and even that may be a little bit too much. Let's turn off the arpeggiator. Yep, that's too much. So I'll go back to the mod matrix, go to my LFO, and I'll edit that amount. There we are.
Yeah, shift. And just toggle it. So one of the things we've done with the shift functionality is that you can press it to toggle it so that the additional features of shift stick, or you can hold it and tweak, then let go.
So shift doesn't stay on if you don't want it, or it does stay on if you do.
Exactly.
Just a little tiny bit out of tune. And so, yeah, I can, I have like 0.1% detuning applied to one oscillator. And I can do the same to another oscillator. And this is just a partial percent of beat frequency detuning. So you can hear them beating against each other. I think I'll turn that down just even a little more. So yeah, that's just a way of applying a little bit of subtle detuning to different parameters of the different oscillators, and that is all happening per voice. So each of those voices is getting subtly detuned in just a little different way from the others. So you get a lot of, if you're listening closely to the beat frequencies and the intermodulation between the oscillators, it's very lively, it's never static, it's never doing the same thing twice. Yeah. Oh boy, more questions.
Wow.
How many steps are in the sequencer? That's 64 steps per sequence, and again, that's times however many rows that you want. Do you recall offhand how many parameters you can modulate?
20.
Yeah, 20 modulations.
Percent.
Yeah, 20 different parameters that can have different parameter values sequenced per step, and that's per each of the 3 sequencers that can live in parallel inside a preset. Can the knobs send MIDI CCs to be recorded in a DAW? They can, and they do to an extent. That's something that right now, as we're first bringing these instruments into the world, that's still in active development, so there will be more of that in the coming days and weeks than there is right now, but the basic facility is there. Absolutely, you will be able to. Right now, many of the knobs do send CCs. Full coverage of MIDI CC and NRPNs in and out is actively in development. Yeah. So we're catching up with that as quickly as we can. Ooh, wow. Ooh. All right.
Can the sequencer chain patterns? Not at this time, but we've been talking about that. Right?
I have a whole UI for it already sketched out. I have mock-ups. There is a plan for that. Again, when we were talking about sort of the future extensibility of this instrument, we don't want to get in trouble by making specific promises of things that don't exist yet, but we have been mapping this thing out well into the future.
For a long time.
And so there's what it does today, and then there's the full spectrum of what we imagined that it could or should or might do. And some of those things are very well specified already, and they're just waiting for their turn. Yeah. So yeah, my hope. Well, again, I don't want to get too much into specific promises, but pattern chaining has had a lot of thought devoted to it. There's a lot of work already done behind the scenes, and so I'm looking forward to seeing where that goes.
Yeah. How many tracks for motion recording? I suppose that is the modulation parameters. 20,
yep.
right?
Yeah, just answered that one in passing on the previous question. Yeah, so for each sequence, you can modulate up to 20 different parameters per step. And each of those modulations, you can attach a controller to it, so the amount of modulation that a parameter has applied to it from your sequence, you can actually control that dynamically in your performance. You can have a mod wheel bring in a sequenced parameter modulation, for example, or you can have it brought in by aftertouch, or you can have velocity control how much, and that's per each of the modulations. Each of them has its own independent amount and controller amounts that you can program within the preset. So here we've got a filter cutoff modulation, and let's see, will that, oh, we're very slow.
Yeah, we're very slow, and I didn't want to go out of it. Why are we so slow?
The BPM, master BPM is probably really, oh, no.
There we go.
Okay. Okay, so is that happening? There it is. Oh, and our pattern length.
Not the nicest motion. Turned step mod on while you were tweaking.
Oh. That's okay.
Well, we
Sounds
got
good.
other stuff going on. That's pretty cool.
All right, so there we have, I don't know if I should play and talk at the same time or only talk and only play. I know we're trying to get the sound quality as good on these as we can. It's a learning process. We're still working on it. But at any rate, I'll talk for a minute and then I'll play for a minute. So we have 2 or 3 different parameters now that are modulated in this sequence. And what I'm going to do is attach some controllers to those so that we can bring in and out those modulations as we go. So. Okay, mod wheel's fine. Get rid of the vibrato modulation.
My left index finger is getting a lot of use today.
Master of modulation.
Alright.
Should do it. You can also, oops, ooh, my fault. You can also, I should mention, edit. You can edit the destination of a modulation lane. You can set up a modulation pattern and then actually change what parameter that's being sent to. So I'll do that now. So what I was doing there at the end was I was taking the same sequence modulation that had been modulating the ladder filter cutoff, and first I changed it to modulate the state variable filter cutoff, and then to modulate the rate of an LFO that was also modulating the filter cutoff.
Yeah.
So when you heard the LFO rate dancing around, that was the same sequenced modulation that had previously been applied to those other parameters.
Wow, questions do come in, right?
They really do. Okay, thank you
Awesome.
for, yeah, this is really the
Really
best.
good. Keep them coming.
Yeah, best flow of questions we've had so far. So does the sequencer do real-time recording? Yes,
Yes.
absolutely it does. We sort of did that a little bit earlier when we were running the sequencer super fast and I was mashing on keys and it was changing what you heard. But if we go over here to the notes.
It will do real-time quantized recording.
That's right. It doesn't do literal real-time recording, so it won't record, you know, the subtleties of your timing if you're early or late. You know, but it will. It's a step sequencer, so it records in steps. But if it's playing while it's recording, then. And so as you can hear, I was playing in a different tempo than the sequencer was going, so it dropped those notes wherever they happened to be when I was playing. But you know, if you know the tempo, or if this is synchronized to another track, it's very easy to play in metrical time.
Maybe this is a good opportunity to show the overdub feature.
Sure.
So you can record in several ways. This mode will replace whatever notes were there before. We can also set it in overdub. And if you record now, go for it, then they will add on top of the others. And you can tweak the parameter of each individual note of every step afterwards. So you can change the note, you can change the velocity, the gate, number of ratchets, or do that for the whole column, for all the steps in the column. Nice. It's a cute little trill.
You can also enter notes manually.
Yep.
So yeah, real time.
Okay, wow. Next question. Are there any sax presets? You've heard all the presets?
Yeah, there aren't as many sax presets as
No.
there should be, quite frankly. Certainly it's within, there's some good trumpet presets, there's some brass pads. Let's just go to the brass section and see if there's anything remotely saxy in here. That's kind of more of a trumpety section. So having not designed this preset, I don't know exactly how to play it to get the most expressive, what the modulations are. I imagine you could probably start there and get yourself into a sort of a sax solo territory.
Yeah.
I don't know any good Charlie Parker riffs.
It's very easy to put new presets on the instrument.
That's
And
right.
just, if someone creates them, can export them, put them on a USB key, or even just post them on the internet. Put the ones you download on a USB key and just import them straight into the Moog One.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Okay, next question.
Can the sequencer be transposed in real time while it's synced to an external clock? Yes, you can transpose the sequencer in real time anytime. Oh, I've already lost that nice sequence that I had because I changed presets. Oh, all right. Let's see. Will the arpeggiator latch and launch in a quantized tempo synced manner? It should do. That was all of the notes that I was writing about how the arpeggiator should behave with respect to MIDI stop and MIDI start.
Yeah.
Like if it's running and you get a MIDI stop, it should stop, and then when it gets a MIDI start, it should start on the first clock after the MIDI start.
I think we're still finishing that up.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's
So we're working on that, right? now.
If anyone out there is familiar with the way that the arpeggiator works on the Sub 37 and how that synchronizes to MIDI clock and the sequencer as well, all of that same functionality is the template for how the arpeggiator and sequencer here should behave.
Yeah.
So, the idea is that you get set up to do your pattern, whatever it's going to be. You hit start, and it is synchronized to your clock. It follows your tempo, and it sits in the mix and in the timing just the way it's supposed to.
Yeah.
Is there a parameter glide to smooth the transition from one step to another of modulation sequencing?
Definitely is.
Awesome.
Yeah. Okay.
The answer is yes. That was easy. Excuse me.
Well,
let's see. We could make some more sounds.
we could.
One way or another. Anyone out there have requests for the sorts of sounds you'd like to hear, or should we just start turning knobs and pressing keys? We can certainly do that.
We could. Let's see.
All right. I've got a thumbs up on the turn knobs and press keys.
Okay.
All right.
You go for it.
Sure. Let's see. Well, latched arpeggiation is always kind of helpful for that.
Oh.
I changed presets.
Trumpety. Now you want to like wiggle the key?
Yeah. Well, we can certainly apply aftertouch to, let's see, pitch modulation. Just a little bit. Let's see what that does.
You can actually do it with the XY panel. Wiggle it.
Sure. So if we put pad X
X.
to, let's see. we'll
Frequency.
Just, yep.
There we go. Just a little bit.
That was kind of a lot, actually. I'm going to turn that down even a little bit more. All right, cool. fighting?
Cancel.
Okay.
Go for it.
Sure. I was doing keyboard to panning again.
Nice.
Okay. Drums, John Carpenter, laser arc. Okay, these are sound requests, I guess. All right, cool. Yeah, we do have a handful of drums on here. And so if we just go to percussion, then let's see. So for example, we could build up like a multi-part percussion sequence right quickly. So I could just, oh, hey, there already is one here.
Yeah.
It's just a kick.
What do you have on the other timbers?
Nothing.
Yet. Okay.
All right, we'll get back to that. Let's, we could just make a really simple, like a sort of a staticky hat snare
Or maybe
type
we
thing.
can show how to import a timbre from another
Oh, there you
preset.
go.
That could
Sure,
be
let's do
interesting.
that. Okay, so we're going to be importing things into the preset called Boom Kick right now. If we go to Synth 2, let's see, here's an Electro Tom. We can load Timbre 1 to Synth 2.
Yeah, so timbre 1
do
from
the
that
honors.
preset,
Right.
load it to the synth 2 of the current preset that we're hearing. Okay.
So let's see, that's Synth 1.
It's a tom. Probably split them up, or just create two different sequences.
Yeah, that's the main idea. But
Okay,
yeah, we
cool.
can we can do a keyboard split here. We don't need a lot for the kick, so we can just put the kick there.
Yeah.
Okay, so now we have a nice 2 parts. Okay, now we just need something on the high end.
Okay.
So let's go back to the presets and see if we have, let's see. This one has an FM hat on Timbre 3.
Timbre 3 to synth 1?
To
No,
synth
synth 3. Yeah,
Yep.
that's what we
Boop.
know. There we go.
Okay, so, okay, let's go back to Synth 2 and give it a high range of maybe here.
Oh.
Okay. Oh, there's already a sequence for that one.
No triggered one.
A no triggered sequence.
Yeah,
All right.
nice.
That's interesting. All right, so if we go back to Synth 1 and get our kick going, let's see.
While the sequence is playing, you can still play over it, which is kind of cool. Add additional kicks. Wow.
And like so.
Fun.
Yeah. Yeah, so yes, this can be a very, very large and heavy drum machine as well, if you so desire.
Cool.
All right, let's see. We didn't do, there was a John Carpenter request, which I assume is like ominous analog bass pulsing kind of sounds,
So.
maybe. And then there's something about laser zaps or the like as well. Let's see. This is none of the above, but but I love how
Oh, I
not like a
that one.
basic analog synth it sounds.
Wow. I haven't heard that preset.
Yeah. Turn off the effects. This is with no effects.
So what is going on here? FM?
Ring mod and yeah, I assume some FM as well. Let's go over here and look and see. Yeah, 100%
Oh,
FM.
heavy FM.
Yeah, yeah, heavy
Super
FM and
heavy.
ring modulation. All right, so the next request is for an evolving drone. I think I'd like to take this metallic sound and
Drone
turn
it
it
out.
into an evolving drone.
Okay.
So let's see what happens. All right, so all those notes are held, and okay, knob mode is relative. Let's get some nice slow LFOs on some things.
I was going to put in some sequencer modulations.
Oh, okay, go for it.
So you can put them in manually also, you don't have to record them. Let's see. What is this doing? Okay. Oh, there's already something in the sequencer, of course. If I start playing that, let's maybe clear out the sequencer first. Maybe that would be interesting. I have a question. Didn't we talk at one point to add interpolation between the modulation
We did.
values?
Yeah, I think that's what that question was actually
The
asking
glide
about.
one?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I think so too. I don't know where that is. No, in development. We're looking into it. Yeah, I misunderstood that question. I thought they were talking about the glide between the frequencies.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Yeah, so gliding in between individual steps of sequence modulation is not currently happening. But it could be in the
Well,
future.
everything's there to be able to do it.
Yeah.
Sure.
Let's see. Maybe a nice square wave modulating something like wave shape or wave modulation amount.
Which is already tied
That
to
was
something.
Yeah, I think 1, 2,
One
and
is-
3 are all pretty available. Ooh, that's interesting.
I like what it does, like subtly. was fun.
Yeah. And there you have whatever that was.
Thank you.
Thanks very much.
Bye.
Bye for now.